In this nitty-gritty basics Let's Play live stream, we're going to be playing American Mah Jongg at I Love Mahj. Today's topic is planning discards with the focus of simplifying the decision making. I'm hoping that it will help you, and if it does help you, please comment below the video if you're watching the repost and let me know what your thoughts are during the session in live chat. I want to say thank you so much for watching my videos, and channel members, thank you so much for being here and for supporting MAHJLIFE. I just want to give you a quick gift. That's just my way of saying thank you for supporting MAHJLIFE. I also want to give a quick shout out to our moderators. They're going to be monitoring the chat. So if you have questions, put it in caps, and that way it will stand out. And today's format is nitty gritty. That means we're going to not do any socialization. We're just going to dig in to nitty gritty strategy. If you prefer gameplay with commentary with some socialization, join us on Friday nights, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, where we hang out and just do stream of consciousness topics, and it includes gameplay with commentary too. Again, that's Friday night, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Today is our double header. We start with basics for 2 hours. We'll be done at 3, and then an hour later, we'll be back for an advanced version of the same topic. And so if you are an intermediate player or an experienced player, consider joining us at 4 p.m. Eastern Time as well, because the spin on this topic is a little different. It's jacked up. Well, not jacked up. That's kind of a bad thing. No, it's more advanced. It's atomic, I guess you could say, comparatively. So I'm going to share my screen and we'll get started. First, I want to say thank you to Diane and Beverly for joining as channel members. Welcome. Welcome to the team. Team MAHJLIFE. Woohoo! Okay, so let me share my screen and we'll get started. Talking about planning discards. In order to simplify, that's the focus, is to simplify. Let's see, let me get my... Here we go. All right. When you are focused on building your hand, it may feel like a little pressure to figure out as well what to discard, and during the Charleston, what to pass. So you want to find your focus. That's the priority, finding your focus, which would be identifying the strength of the hand. Focus on a category that uses most of your tiles to support the strength of the hand. And then you're going to identify the unwanted tiles. Now, with American Mah Jongg, the strength of a hand is going to be multiples. Every hand on the card uses pairs, pung, kong. The singles and pairs hands are limited to one category, but there are singles and pairs in most of the hands elsewhere. And then you have pungs and kongs, which I call big multiples. So those make up most of the hands on the card, 84% actually. So if you target multiples, you're going to set yourself up for success by letting those multiples drive your decision making. So target multiples. Gather the tiles that can support them and play a category that uses most of your tiles. If you don't have multiples, then you're going to look for the predominant pattern. The predominant pattern will be one of the categories on the card. And you may focus on 2 categories, maybe even 3, but eventually you're going to need to whittle down. And that will go into identifying discards. Then we'll talk about that. So when you identify the category that will use most of your tiles, you're going to go through the Charleston, the pre-game, as it were, because East discards the first tile to start the actual game. During the Charleston, that's really the pre-game. And I have lots of videos that talk about decision making during the Charleston. So later, look for a link in the video description below and check out the skills and strategies matrix for topics on Charleston decision making. So in order to find your focus, you've got to identify the strength of the hand. It's either going to be multiples or the predominant pattern. And again, that's going to be a category on the card, like 2, 4, 6, 8. Do you have mostly even tiles? Could be odds. Do you have mostly odd tiles? Or 3, 6, 9. Sometimes you have a lot of 3, 6, 9 tiles. So you just want to look for where you can, what category you can focus on that would use most of your tiles. And then during the Charleston, if a multiple develops, and it likely will, you're going to target the multiple and then reassess, gather tiles to support the multiple, and play a category that uses most of your tiles with that multiple. Any questions before we go on? I'll just look in chat real quick and make sure nobody has any questions about finding your focus. I think it simplifies the decision making. You get your dealt tiles, you look for the multiple, bam, you're done. Target the multiple, gather supporting tiles, play a category that uses most of them. It simplifies it in my mind. You'll have to let me know if you're new to the game, if that helps you. And it works too for the predominant pattern until you finally get that multiple. So if you don't have the multiple, just look for the predominant pattern. And we'll be able to talk about that in the gameplay portion of this episode. All right, since I don't see any questions, we're going to keep going. When you have identified the discards after keeping all the tiles that can support the strength of your hand, this is the hierarchy that I follow. I like to call it a triage as well. So regardless of what you call it, it's the order in which you're going to discard certain tiles. If I am not playing wins, in American Mah Jongg, they like to use them in order of news, spells news, and that's their shtick, I guess you could say. So if you're not playing wins, I usually discard those first. And the reason I do that is because number tiles are more likely going to be used in exposures with jokers. So I want to optimize my potential to do a joker exchange. There are way fewer wind hands than there are hands with number tiles. And that also applies to dragons. So with dragons, there are more hands with dragons, just a few, but there are fewer dragons than the numbered tiles. There's only 3 dragons, but there are 3 suits numbered 1 through 9. So wins go first if I'm not playing them. If I'm not using the dragons, they go next. And then I look at the tiles that I don't want to be using during the Charleston, right after the Charleston. They'll be what I call chaff. And basically those are just unwanted tiles that you gather through the passing. So once you discard the chaff, the clear discards that you know you don't need, then you're going to be down to all your keepers. That is when you look for isolated tiles or useless tiles. And we'll look at some examples of that. So wins, then dragons, then your chaff, clear discards, and then your isolated or useless tiles. That would be where the whittling starts, because eventually you're going to have keepers that you're going to use in your hand at one point when you finally do pick a hand. All right, so let's look at an example. Here we have East-South Dragon singles. We have a pair of 3 bams with a 7. Then we have a 6-9 in cracks, 2, 3, 6, 9 in dots with a pair of 2s. So here we have 2 multiples, 3 bam, 2 bam. These are consecutive pairs. Makes it super simple to pick a category because you want to leverage the multiples. So you're going to play probably consecutive run of some kind. You could also maybe play 3, 6, 9. Even though you have a pair of twos, the predominant pattern is 3, 6, 9 because it uses most of the tiles. The consecutive tiles would be 2 dot, 3 dot, and then the 3 band pair. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tiles as opposed to 7. So you could play a consecutive hand with 2, 3 and just gather until a hand shows itself. Or you could focus on 3, 6, 9. There's no right or wrong here. You go with your instinct. And when you're new to the game, you've got to build those instincts. If you're an intermediate player, it's a little bit easier. And of course, if you're an advanced player, it's a lot easier. You've been able to gain experience playing the game so you can leverage instinct. So if you play consecutive run, that would be fine in this case, but also 3, 6, 9, even though you'd have to discard a pair. If this were my hand, I probably would keep the twos and focus on 3, 6, 9 unless consecutive tiles come in, because we have discards. We could, for example, play 3, 6, 9, leverage the 3 band, let that be the driver. And then the 2 dot would be used as something called joker bait. And that is a strategy that I'm hoping we'll be able to demonstrate later. Basically, super quick nutshell, you discard one in the middle of the game, and then someone makes an exposure with a joker. On your next turn, you make the exchange with that second tile. And I have lots of videos on joker tactics, including joker bait, in that skills and strategies matrix that you can look at later. Or join us on the live stream when we go over joker tactics. So the chaff here would be the green dragon and the 7 bam. Those are clear discards. And then we have the wins. If we're playing 3, 6, 9, we're not going to need wins. So we have 4 discards. It totally simplifies the decision making because you focus on the predominant pattern supporting the strength of the hand, and then you identify the chaff and the clear discards. So we would probably discard 7 bam, green dragon, and 1 of the wins. The joker bait would be discards, but later you might be able to snag a joker with this pair. So here, 7 bam, green dragon, maybe east or south, either one. It's arbitrary. So that is the process that you would use as you're trying to determine your discards. Find your discards, and they're basically going to be, they'll reveal themselves after you identify the predominant pattern or the tiles that you're going to be using to support the strength of your hand. Those discards will show themselves if you use this process. And we're going to play at I Love Mahj. It's a great platform, especially for beginners and intermediate players, and I'll show you why. And we're going to look for opportunities to demonstrate this process. So I will stop sharing my screen. Carol, thank you for joining as a channel member. I appreciate the support more than you know, more than words can say. So let's see, I'm going to, oh no, did I not share my screen this whole time? Now I'm confused. Hold on a second. Was I not? Oh no, I did share my screen. Oh my gosh, that was really weird. I guess I clicked stop sharing. So you did see the presentation. Yes. All right, here we go. Sorry, I just had a mini panic attack thinking that you didn't see my screen that whole time. All right, so I'm going to open I Love Mahj. Let me share my screen again. Oh my gosh, that would be terrible. Awkward. Okay, so here's Google, and I'm just going to go to I Love Mahj. Super easy to spell. All right, here's I Love Mahj. If you don't have, if you have not tried playing here yet and you want to give it a try, I'm an affiliate partner there, which basically means you can get 3-week free trial. And if you decide to do a paid subscription, I'll get a little commission. So full disclosure there. At I Love Mahj, you can play with robots, which is really great for practicing. you can play with friends as well. What we're going to focus on is the exercise room, specifically Charleston practice. There are other activities in here that you can do to help build your skills, but we want to focus on the topic for today. So we're just going to dig right into Charleston practice, and we'll do one or two depending on the feedback from people in the live stream today, and then we'll play with robots so that you can see planning discards during the pick and discard phase of the game. So we're going to start with the pregame, also known as the Charleston. So you go to the exercise room and you select Charleston practice and click start exercise. And then you're going to pick your card, which defaults to the current card, and click start exercise. Now, you can go as slow as you need to. I believe there is a timer when you're playing the game, but not during the practice session unless you select otherwise. So we have a couple of jokers. We have, oh, let me do a bigger screen here. There, that's a little bit bigger, I think. All right, so we have a pair of jokers. We have a couple of jokers. It's not a pair. Can't use a joker with a pair. We also have a flower. Then we have a 1 bam, 9 bam singles. We have 1, 3, 7, 9 singles. Then we have 2, 4, 6, 8 with a pair of eights. So if these were your tiles, what would you target? Tell me in chat, what would be the strength of the hand? What would be the driver here? No pressure, but if you want to share, use chat. Or you could always write it in the comment section below. I'll wait just a minute here. Eights. Hi, Wes. Yes, eights. Ding, ding, ding. Oh, I actually have a, well, we're not going to use sounds here. Pair of eights, 2, 4, 6, 8, Lori says. Yep, that would be the strength of the hand. So I usually first target that multiple and pull it to the side. And then I look at the rest of my tiles and I think about, with the remaining tiles, what can I keep to support the 8? And we do have 2, 4, 6, 8 tiles, 2, 4, 6, pair 8, but we also have 7, 9. We could maybe do consecutive run 7, 8, 9. So probably I would keep 2, 4, 6, 8. I would definitely keep the flower because flowers are in 44% of the hands. So you don't want to pass flowers. You don't want to help your opponent, and you want to also give yourself options. So I would keep the 7 and the 9 as well. So we would have an option for an even hand, and we're not going to look at the hand level. We're not going to pick a hand yet. We're going to stay at the category level and gather until a predominant pattern rises to the top. A hand will rise to the top as we gather. So we do have some potential for 7, 8, 9 as well. There's actually equal potential for consecutive run at this point. So we're left with chaff, 1 bam, 1 crack, 3 crack. So those are clear discards. The 8 dot, that is the strength. That's what we're focused on. So we will not use a 1 with an 8 in American Mah Jongg, or a 3 with an 8 either. So 1, 1, 3 will be the discards, but I would not pass 1, 1, 3. Like numbers are very risky to pass together because I believe it's, is it 40? Is it also 44%? Oh, I forget my statistics. I forget what the like numbers is. Hold on, let me just pull it up real quick. Let me try this one. Here. Flowers are 44%. Like numbers is 40%. 40% of the hands on the card use like numbers. That's close enough to 50 to me, so I don't do it. I do not pass like numbers. So I would pass 1, 3, and then I would let something go. I would keep the 2, 4, 6, 8. I think that's probably the strongest potential, but we do have some potential in here for 7, 8, 9 mixed suit Kongs, one particular hand in consecutive run, and that would be the 5th hand down on the right. fifth hand down on the right. So I probably would let go of the 9 crack. So you use a process of elimination with your chaff, but you want to mitigate the risk because you don't want to help your opponent build their hand. You want to try to mitigate the risk with your discards during the Charleston. Everybody with me? I'd pass 1, 3, 9. It's a little bit risky with a 1, 3. It's also a little risky with a 3, 9. But here's the thing. Your priority is your own hand first. You're going to set yourself up for success by gathering tiles to support the strength of the hand, and then you do the best you can with what you have left over. There will always be some level of risk in every pass. You just want to mitigate that risk. You want to make these passes as benign as you can. And this is the best we can do with what we have. So let's go. We have a red dragon, which probably we can't use with dots. If you look at the dragon hand in evens, there's only one. 2, 8 with offsuit dragons. We have a red dragon, but no green dragon. Anytime there's a gap in an option, let it go. Let that option go. And that will help reveal the discards. To me, it simplifies the decision making. Anytime you have a gap, let it go. And that should show you tiles that can be discarded. So with these tiles, you could pass, let's say, we might even be able to use that 8, maybe 8, 9, 8 dot, 8, 9 bam, 7 crack, maybe. And we would throw the 1 crack, the 3 bam, and the red dragon. It's a little bit risky, but it's the best we can do with what we have. If you wanted to make it a little better, you could maybe keep the dragon and pass the 8, because you're not going to use an 8 with a 1 or a 3. But I would rather give myself options. So I would keep that 8, bam. I'd pass 1, 3 red in this case. So that was the cross pass. We have a new multiple here, 7 crack. And that's what you want to keep an eye out for. During the Charleston, you have potential to develop another multiple. Exactly what just happened. So now we have consecutive pairs, 7, 8. We're going to play consecutive run, and we're going to let the 2, 4, 6, 8 go. Because if you leverage the multiples, you're going to be ahead of the game with hand development. Because in the end, you're going to need way more multiples than all these singles. 2, 4, 6 singles is weaker than a pair of 7 cracks. And we even have a hand in here with no gaps. 7 crack, 8 dot, 9 bam, 5th hand down on the right under consecutive run. So with 7, 8, 9, I would probably hold the 5 bam, because you could maybe use a run of 5 numbers in mixed suits in consecutive run, 5 through 9. So I would keep that 5 bam for the range of tiles that we have, and I would let the 4 dot and the 2 dot go. So now we have a different focus. Instead of 2, 4, 6, 8, we've let that go as a weaker option, and we're going to focus on consecutive run. Our discards are 2 dot, 4 dot, 4 crack, but I would not pass that. I would not pass like numbers. 40% of the hands on the card use like numbers. So that would be very risky in my book. So I pass 2 dot, 4 crack, and then I would let something go. This is when you look for the isolated tiles. An example of an isolated tile would be the 5 bam. Right now, the only way we could use the 5 bam would be the same hand with 5, 6, 7. 5 bam, 6 dot, 7 crack. And that would mean that we'd have to throw away an 8 dot pair. I wouldn't do that. I would find a hand that would use both of my multiples, which would be 7, 8, 9 mixed suit Kongs. If I would rearrange my tiles? What do you mean rearrange my tiles, Ruth? They're arranged in numerical order by suit. I appreciate the suggestion. I think this is how I would recommend arranging the tiles. I think what you might be recommending is to sort by rank, but I don't subscribe to that personally. I think that it really only shows, it reveals more like number potential than it does consecutive run. Even though we're in consecutive run, it does show the numbers in order, but I think that it's better to show them in numerical order by suit. That's my personal preference. Anybody who wants to sort by rank, they're free to do that if that helps you. So in this case, we have 2.4 bam. We could throw the 5 bam or maybe the 6 dot. The 6 dot is also isolated because we can't use with the 7 crack and a 6 dot and an 8 dot. There's no way to use those tiles. So I would probably discard the 5 bam, 2, 4, 5. And that is a little bit risky with a 4, 5, but at least it's in 2 suits. And we have a hand in here with no gap, 6 dot, 7 crack, 8 bam. And we even have the flower to go with it. So let's pass. We've got an 8 dot. That is a keeper. So let me just separate our discards from our keepers with this flower. We have 6, 7, 8, 9. And I try not to pick a hand, even though we have a hand with no gaps. That is going to be the likely hand. I still want to just gather and see if something else shows up. But we have a really strong potential for the 5th hand down on the right. I would continue the Charleston, even if that means a risky pass, like 2, 4, 3. That's a little bit risky. I probably would maybe pass, let's say, the 8 bam to make it a little better, but I would keep going. So let's pass 2, 3, 8. And we're focused on 7 crack, 8 dot, 9 bam, and probably this 6 dot will go. Okay, here we go. We're going to pass. No keepers on this one. We have a wind, a dragon, and chaff. All this is chaff. So we could pass south green with maybe, I would think about passing the 3 crack, but it leaves us with a 4, 6 in one suit. If we get all keepers here, we might have to pass a 4, 6 in one suit, which is a little bit risky. So instead of the 3 crack, I would probably pass the 4 dot. And that would leave us with a 3 crack and a 6 dot, which is a little safer if we have to pass these together. So you want to try to think a pass ahead if it's not too overwhelming. Evelyn, what's your question? Do you have a question, Evelyn? Okay, we're going to pass. Okay, we did not get any keepers, but we did get tiles in our range, 7, 8, 9. So let's just put them in suit in numerical order. Up there, up where? Okay, I don't see anything in caps, so I don't see any. Oh, with Ruth, I'm not sure. I asked if she wanted to clarify what she meant, but maybe she doesn't want to respond, which is totally fine. Everybody plays the game a little bit differently, so she may have something just a little bit different in mind for sorting tiles. Yep, I addressed that, Evelyn. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's see. We have 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 1 clear discard. Okay, thank you, Evelyn. So we have 1 clear discard. We're on our last right. So we could pass just 1 tile and keep all our consecutive tiles. But we do have at least 1 isolated tile that we can't use with this 8 dot and a 7 crack. And that's the 6 dot. So I would probably discard that. And even the 9 crack, that would be another isolated tile. The thing is, though, that we have 3, 6, 9. That's one category on the card. That would be really risky. So I would probably keep the 9 crack just to mitigate the risk. If this player to our right is playing a 3, 6, 9 hand, they'll be very happy. They're still going to be pretty happy getting 2 tiles if they're in that category, but I would try to mitigate the risk on that. Okay, let's pass these. We didn't get any keepers, but we did get a couple of discards that we know we don't need, so we can pass 2. And maybe now that we have a 4 dot in there, we could let the 9 crack go and pass 3. If you can pass fully, do it. You want to optimize your potential to get a keeper. All right, so we ended up with 7, 8, 9 as our likely hand. 7, 8, 9 Mixu Kongs. We have a couple of weaknesses, the 9 bam and the flower. We need a pair of flowers. So in this particular Charleston, we ended up with 5 discards, which is going to be challenging. I'd say we're probably going to be an underdog on this game, but we do have some potential for another hand. I would probably hold the 6 bam, because if we were to get the 5 bam and a 4 bam and they were going around, they might be discarded. But there's the 4th hand down under consecutive run, single pair pung kong kong, 4, 5, 6 in bams, 7 crack, 8 dot. But that would be a long shot. So to look at this hierarchy or triage, I would discard the dragon first, then the 7. Oh no, actually, I think I would keep the 7 because it's in our range. I would discard the green dragon and then 4s and try to gather more keepers, hopefully for 7, 8, 9 Mixu Kongs. Okay, so let's look at what Ruth is saying. When you recently rearranged the tiles for a short time, showing the run you were thinking about, that was what you're talking about, us helping new players. I see. Yeah, and you have the freedom to choose whether you sort by rank or sort by suit. My preference is to sort by suit. That's what I teach, is sorting by suit, because it will show you, I believe it will show you more options, especially when comparing one suit options to mixed suit options. But you could even do both. Sort by rank, get the lay of the land. You could see by sorting by rank that the 4s are totally useless. But then by sorting by suit, you can see clearly that you have a mixed suit option. So use the tools that are in the system. Sort by rank, sort by suit, get a good lay of the land from 2 views. Yep, 5th hand down on the right under consecutive run. Mixed suit Kongs is what I call it. So it would be, basically, I'll put these to the left of the flower. It would be 7 crack, 8 dot with a 9 bam. So that would be 3 colors. So 3 suits are represented, and that leaves 5 discards. But for the triage, I would discard the green dragon first, then the 4s, because the 6, 7 are in our range, 7, 8, 9, and something else may reveal itself until that point where we have to then discard the 6 and the 7. All right, so we're going to, shall we do this one more time, or do you guys want to play with robots? I mean, we're playing with robots for the Charleston practice, but play with robots. Once I get a second, we'll keep going. Does anybody want to do one more Charleston practice? Or should we? We're going to still practice the Charleston when we play with robots. If we play a game, we'll still be focused on the Charleston because it's part of the game. Okay, so I'll go ahead and either, says Wes. Okay, let's go ahead and we'll exit and we'll play with the bots. So when you play with bots, you're going to click the radio button under Game Launchpad. Okay, and then you're going to, you can play just for fun where it won't track your wins, I guess, or you can play official game where they track your wins and losses. It's a nice way to kind of track your progress as you're learning to play the game. And we're going to play with intermediate level players. You can also play with beginner robots, and then you could play with advanced robots, which they are formidable opponents. So we're going to stay in the middle. We're going to play with intermediate robots. And just click launch game, and then click no, which will mean that nobody can invite you to a game with people. Humans. We're not playing with humans. We're playing with robots. Okay, you have another chance here to change your bot level if you want, but we're going to stick with the level 2, and we're going to click start game. All right, now if you want to sort by rank, that's what you're going to be looking at, which it just shows you 1 through 9. I prefer sort by suit. So for me, this tells me that we have a mixed suit hand probably with these tiles at the moment. It could change, but I would keep in my head that we have a lot of mixed suit tiles. Each suit is represented here. We have 1 multiple with number tiles, the 7 bam. We also have a pair of flowers. So whatever we play, we're going to use the 7 bam and the red and the flowers. So I kind of pull that to the side, and I think to myself, okay, Lori would play like numbers. That is definitely an option. I would look at the rest of my tiles, and I would try to find a category that will use most of my tiles. And for me, that category is consecutive run. So I would keep 7, 8, 9, 7, 8, 9, 6, 7, 8, 9 actually. 4 numbers in a range around the multiple, 6, 7, 8, 9 of some kind. So you can see that the predominant pattern is consecutive run. We could, however, play like numbers. And there are 2 options in the like number category, and one uses the dragons. So we should keep that matching dragon. So here we have 2 options, consecutive run or like numbers. And we have tiles we can pass. So I would stop the analysis and I wouldn't pick a hand. We're gathering. So we targeted the strength, which is the 7 bam. We gathered as many tiles as we can to support the 7 bam. And we identified the categories that we could likely play. And that reveals the discards, clear discards. So that's where the simplification comes in. Target the strength, keep supporting tiles, and it will reveal the discards. So I would do my best to mitigate risk here. So I'd probably pass 1, 2, 4 instead of 1, 2, 3. I'd pass 1, 2, 4. I think that'd be a little harder to use than the 3. All right, we have 3, 4. We got a 3 in here, north. We do not need 3s or the 4, so I would just keep it going. So north 3 bam 4 dot would be my discards here, and that's what we would pass. We're looking for big numbers. We got one, a 7 dot. We also have a 5 dot. So we have 5 through 9 right now. We have 2 clear discards, 1 dot, 3 crack. So then we need to look at all of our keepers, and we would look for isolated tiles or useless tiles. Because we have 7s paired up, I probably would play like numbers, in which case we could probably discard either the 9 crack or the 5, 6 in dots. We could also maybe discard that 8 bam. With a pair of flowers, the only way we could use the 8 bam would be if we play a quint, which I wouldn't focus on because we have no jokers. So I would define that 8 bam as a discard. I would say we should play like numbers because we have 2 pair. So with these tiles and with our pass, I think the best discard would probably be the 8-man. So we're going to try to play a like number hand. We've got a pair of flowers in there we could leverage, and we have 6 discards at the moment. So let's see if we can get some more 7s or maybe dragons. We didn't get any dragons, but we did pick up 6s. Like numbers with 6s. 6, 7, 6, 7. There's a hand, third hand from the bottom under consecutive run. Pung kong, pung kong. We'd have to throw away a pair of flowers, but I think I would keep the 6s to see if we could get more. Otherwise, I would focus on like numbers. So, oh, we picked up another keeper here. Look at this. 9 crack pair. We actually have another hand in here. 5, 7 dot, pung kong, 7, 9 in cracks. This is the second hand down under odds on the right. We would have to throw away a pair of 7s. So I probably wouldn't do that. And incidentally, we're in the stage of the game where you can stop the second Charleston. We're in between categories. We could play like numbers with 7s. We could also play consecutive run, 6, 7, 6, 7. That would be the 6th hand down under consecutive run. But we could also play the second hand down on the right. We're in between categories. I would not stop the Charleston here. I would pick the strongest potential, the category with the strongest potential, and I would free up discards to keep passing. If you stop the Charleston, you're going to deny yourself the opportunity to exponentially improve your dealt hand from this point. We would be turning down up to 12 more tiles that could potentially put us at an advantage at the table. So instead of straddling 3 categories, I would pick the strongest option to free up discards. I think the strongest option here is going to be either 5, 7, 7, 9 in 2 suits or like numbers with 7s. So I probably would pass the 6s, but that leaves us with like numbers, and I would not pass like numbers. I just think it's almost as risky as passing a pair. And some people don't agree with that, but I have a strong conviction in my years of playing the game that passing like numbers is very risky, almost as risky as passing a pair. So I just typically don't do it, especially if I'm in between hands. So with these tiles, I probably would 5, 7, 7, 9. If we played that second hand down on the right, we'd have to throw away a pair of 7s and a pair of flowers. I'd rather leverage the multiples. So in this case, I would probably give up the 5 dot as my next pass. So we're going to continue, and we're going to go through the second Charleston, and we'll do 2, 5, 6 band. We don't want to pass all one suit. So we're still probably playing like numbers with 7s. That would leverage all 3 multiples, 7 dot, 7 band, and the flowers. We didn't get any keepers, but we did get like numbers. If our like numbers were 1s instead of 7s, we would be very happy. In this case, they're discards for us, which is also a good thing. So we're going to let the wind go, and then a 1 crack with a 6 dot. That's a great pass right there. Yep, we're thinking about like numbers. Either hand is going to work for us at the moment. The one with dragons concealed or the one with flowers, either one. We really don't need to pick it yet. Okay, now here we have 1, 3, 3 east for clear discards. These are chaff. They're useless to us. So I would just mitigate the risk by passing 2 suits. And here we did pick up a 6, 6, 7, 9. We have 3 tiles. Oh, look, we got the dragon. I would keep the dragon and let the 6 go. Because if we get that red dragon, oh, here it is. We've got the red dragon right there. So now we have another dragon to help us get to that concealed like number hand. And we have 5 discards, including potential joker bait. So maybe we'll get a show how that works. So let's pass 3, west, 6 crack, 3 dot. We're hoping for a 7. Okay, we did not get a 7, but we did get 9s. So we're probably going to be playing like numbers with dragons. And we have 5 discards, but we have joker bait in here as well. So we have a really good chance. I would say we're a contender on this particular game. You might think, well, maybe we're an underdog on this one because we have 5 discards, but we have potential for joker bait. Even though we're playing a concealed hand, we don't have any gaps. We need to get a white dragon, but that is a single tile, and we can get ourselves to a ready position maybe before those white dragons are discarded. We're going to have to watch the discards very closely and exposures from the robots. So we're going to start with that triage, the hierarchy of discards. If I'm not playing wins, they go first. And then dragons, if I'm not playing dragons, but in this case we are. So we're going to hold the dragons, at least one of each, because of our multiples being 7s. We're in that any like number category on the first panel of the card. So we're going to start with the wins, and we're just going to let them go. So now the game begins. There's the white dragon, the first one. Let's hope nobody calls it for an exposure. So nobody wanted it, which is good for us because we need a single. So let's just see if we can come by it as we're picking from the wall. Okay, now there's a flower. We need a Kong of flowers if we play the first hand. We're not ready to call it, so we just are going to ignore. All right, we're going to let the wind go. Winds go first. And this is one reason why I like throwing winds first. It reveals who's playing winds. And they're forced early in the game to make a commitment. Because once you start exposing wins, you are digging your heels in on one or 2 hands. So we have West, the robot on the right, with a Pung of North. There are a couple of hands they could be playing in that category. Second hand down, they could be playing the first hand on the right. They could also be playing the second hand down. So one of those 2 hands. Okay, here we go. 5 dot. We're going to ignore that. We're good there. So there's somebody kept the 6s. Here comes the 6 dot. Let's see if someone takes that. No. Okay, now that is one of our tiles, but we don't know. We're not going to be able to call it with a single. So we have to let it go. All right, we have 1, 2, 9. Let's let the 9 bam go. We can ignore. We don't need 6s. We're looking for 7s. We got one. So we'll tuck that in. And let's discard the 1 crack. Okay, we're not holding 9s. We're looking for 7s. Oh, look at we ended up with a 9 crack pung. Let's just keep it for a bit and let the 2 crack go. We still are predominantly in like numbers because we have no 5. We let go of the 5, 7, 9 option because we wanted to leverage the flowers. We don't need 8s. Okay, winds go first. So now by that east going down and a west going down as well, and this player on the right, west with the north, they didn't take that east. So my guess is they're either not ready for the first hand or they're playing north and south with a run, which is the second hand down. We don't know yet until another exposure comes out. So we don't want that. We're looking for 7s. Oh, 4 crack. Yeah, that's already out right there. So let's let that go. When we get closer to, let's say, maybe one more pick, we'll let a 9 crack go and see if anybody takes it with jokers. That's our tile, but we can't call it. Okay, let's let a 9 crack go. When you're at 60 tiles remaining, you see this label here, 71 tiles left. When you're at 60 tiles left, that is the middle of the game. And that's the ideal time to discard Joker bait. So we're going to let a 9 crack go because we're a little bit early in the game. This will reveal if anybody's interested. Otherwise, these are probably going to be discards if not. So let's see what happens. No interest. No, we're good. Okay, so all these tiles are probably discards. We have a single there. There's the second white dragon. We still need a single in here. Okay, now 2 crack is out. You want to look at what is out on the table as far as prioritizing your discards. All of these tiles are out. Usually I try to discard year tiles. So there's lots of white dragons and 2s and 3s out. So I would probably discard that. We're not ready to call anything there. Okay, we got a green dragon. Let's let the 6 crack go. So we have a pair of green dragons, which is really not helpful for us with like numbers. We're in the middle of the middle game right now. So probably what I would do is let a dragon go. There are none out. So this dragon is going to be risky to hold on to the longer we keep it. Nobody wanted it in this case. But you want to think about going into the end of the middle game, the risky tiles that you have in your hand. Because when you get into the end game, which is 40 tiles remaining, you don't want to be holding risky tiles if at all possible. Right now, the 3 bam is our riskiest tile because there are none out. So we're going to try to swap that out with something a little safer since we're at 52 tiles remaining. We have 3 more picks and we'll be in the end game, which is the last 40 tiles. There are no 4 bams out either. Let's let the 3 bam go. I was thinking maybe Joe across from us is playing maybe a 3-6-9 hand, but they're not. Oh, what happened? I don't want that. Cancel. Okay. No. Oh, West. We don't want that. So all the East and West are down. This player to the right is playing North and South with a run. Second hand down. We just don't know their run. Okay, we got another red dragon. And for the same reason of discarding that green dragon, I would let the red dragon go too. There are 2 out, so it's probably safe. Really, this 4 bam is probably the riskiest tile because it's not out yet. The player across from us could be playing 2-4-6-8 of some kind because I don't think they're playing 3-6-9. There's a lot of 3-6-9 out there. So my guess is they're playing probably 2-4-6-8. Let's discard the 4 and see what happens. There it is. There it is. And there's a joker there as well. So they're playing the second hand down under 2-4-6-8. 3-4. Yeah. Okay. Now here we could pung that, but we don't want to because we're probably playing the concealed hand until the white dragons go down. And even if we're playing the first hand for like numbers, we can't call it because we don't have a joker. You got to have 1 tile less of the size of the block in order to call it. And we're short a tile. Why would they be discarding 9 since we know where they all are? Why would I be discarding 9s? Why would you be discarding the 9s? Because they're safe. Those are safe discards that I can hold for later in the game. We want to hold on to safe tiles because we're going in the end game now in 1 pick. Those 9 cracks, nobody wants. So they're going to be safe discards for later in the game. And this is where you want to start holding tiles that have already been discarded that people are not acting on those will be good discards for later in the game. Because one of the goals should be not to discard the winning tile for somebody else. Okay, we got a joker. Let's throw this red dragon. Okay, so somebody got a joker. We have a joker now. So we could potentially call that flower for a Kong, but I think we're closer to the dragon hand. It's concealed, so we're going to risk letting this flower go. We could Kong with that joker. There are there's two flowers are out plus this one, that's 3. We have 2, so that's 5. So there's still 3 more flowers out if we switch to the first hand under like numbers, and we can use jokers if we need to. So I would let it go and focus on the concealed hand. And another reason that I would do that is because 2 7 cracks are out. We need a pair in here still. And if that other 7 crack goes out, we're not going to be able to call it. I think we're safer to stay concealed at the moment. So I would let this go. Okay, now we got a keeper. This is when I would let the 9 crack go. And I know nobody wants it. So we're going to probably use this joker for the 7 crack. We still need a white dragon in here. Uh-oh, there's our tile. We're not ready. Let's let the 9 crack go. The 5 bam was just discarded, so that should be safe. We need a white dragon. There's a north. That's out, so we don't need to worry about that. We have 6 more picks, 1 discard. We got the flower. So let's discard the 5 bam. Now we're at a place where we may be able to play like numbers with 7s with flowers, but it's a bit risky because of the 7 crack. We still need a pair in here. I see 2 7 cracks out. So let's just see what happens. Right now, there's only 1 more white dragon. We got a joker. Since we've got a joker, I think what I would do here, let's see, I would keep that joker and throw a flower, and we're ready to win on a white dragon, which we know nobody wants because there are 3 out. So let's throw the flower, which nobody else has been calling, and we're ready to win on a white dragon. We have 20 tiles remaining, 5 picks. So we're hoping to either draw that white dragon or one of our opponents will discard it. The 7 crack is using the jokers. We don't need 9 man. We're looking for a white dragon. 4 picks left. We're going to ignore that. This was, let's see, 8 bam. Okay, now this is going to be risky. This is a hot tile right here because our opponent across from us is playing 2 4 6 8 in 1 suit. So we have to think about the likelihood of them winning on this 8 bam. I'd say it's pretty high because there are no 2 bams out. And there are no 8 bams out either. So this is a high risk tile. So I would give up on the dragons. I would fold so as not to discard that 8 bam. That is going to be, I think, a winning tile for Joe. So we're going to let the green dragon go. We have only 2 more picks left. There's the soap. We're going to ignore it. Okay, now let's see. We have 1 pick left. We could call that, but we would have to throw away that risky tile. I say we stick with a fold. So let's see. Nobody wants dragons. That south is also very risky with this player on the right. Joker. So let's discard the joker. Okay, we ended up picking souths. So they were, this south wind would have given them a win. The 8 bam, they were not quite ready to win. They would have conged. So we folded knowing that they were close, if not ready. They have one discard. So we could have won this if we discarded that 8 bam, but I felt it was just too risky, primarily because there were no 2 bams out or 8 bams were out. The 2 bams are over here, incidentally. Okay, so what are your thoughts about that? Any comments on this hand? We basically, yeah, we were close, but we folded because of the 8 bam. Really, it was a very risky tile. So was the south. Oh, thank you. Okay, let's play again. Okay, so here we have, I'm sorting by suit in numerical order. And if these were your tiles, what would you focus on here? Oh, Lori. Oh my gosh, that's funny. Your adrenaline gets going. I wish we didn't draw that risky tile. I wanted to win. Okay, so what would you guys, 6 and 7? Yep, that's what I would do also, 6, 7. So with a 6, 7, we have a pung and a pair. Those are consecutive multiples. So we're going to play some form of consecutive run with the 6 and the 7. So then I look at the rest of my tiles and I keep tiles that I can use with 6, 7. We actually have a hand in here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Single pair pung in cracks. Kong Kong, 6 bam, 7 dot. This is the fourth hand down under consecutive run. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 3 through 7. So I would probably pass west 2 with a 9. We're going to play 5 through 7 at the moment. Okay, so we have a 5 crack. That is a keeper. 6 dot, 5 bam. We have 2 discards. 2 discards. Otherwise, we have all keepers. 3 through 7. We have a hand in here with no gaps. 3, 4, 5, single pair pung. 6 dot, or 6 bam, 7 dot. So I would focus on building around the multiples, which would be 5 crack, 6 bam, 7 dot. So I would probably let the 5 bam go. That's a little bit risky though. 3, 5. Since we have a pung of 6 bams, I think I would keep the 5 and let the 6 dot go, because we could maybe do 4 crack, 5 crack, 6 dot, 7 dot, which would use 2 multiples, but we'd have to throw away a pung of 6s. I would rather go with an option that uses that pung, because that is a stronger multiple than a pair. So I would focus on 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, fourth hand down under consecutive run. We got the 6. Let's pass on 1 green. Oh, see, that's super risk. Excuse me, this is super risky. 1, 5 green, 1 suit. I wouldn't do that. I would let the 6 dot go. So you want to mitigate the risk going to your opponent. We have a hand with no gaps. We have a weakness though. We need a 4 crack because we need single pair pung in that first block. Okay, we did not get keepers. Here's a 5. We have an 8, 9. Let's just put these in order just to get another lay of the land. We have 5, 6 in bams, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9 in cracks, 5, 7 in dots. I would not be distracted by big odds at all because we have a pung of sixes. So I would let the 9 crack go. Probably this 5 dot would go also because it's isolated. There, we don't have that 6. So in identifying discards, we could maybe pass 8, 9 crack with a 5 dot. We have 5, 6, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is the strongest potential. Fourth hand down. So I think I would stop there and keep just as far as assessing the hand and identifying discards. We have 3 discards. Even this 5 bam could go. So I probably would focus on the fourth hand down under consecutive run and let the 5s go with the 8, 9 and cracks. So I would keep going. Maybe pass 5, 8, 9. 5, well, 5, Mona, are you thinking 5, 6, 7 with a pair of flowers? Is that what you're thinking? 5 crack, 6 bam, 7 dot with a pair of flowers? We have no flowers. That would be a gap. So I wouldn't consider playing a gap hand. We have a hand with no gaps, fourth hand down. 3, 4, 5, single pair pung, Kong Kong, 6, 7. That's what I would focus on here. We've got a 6. That's a keeper. 6 bam Kong. So we have 3 tiles we clearly don't need. North 9, 5. Okay, we have discards. 1 bam, 9 dot, 6 and 9 crack. I would not pass all 3. That would be very risky. So I probably would pass 1 blind and mitigate the risk, not pass like numbers. We have a 5, 6 there. We're doing the optional. I would want to pass fully to optimize my potential to get a 4 crack. Or maybe a 7 dot. We've got a Kong with our 6. If we can Kong the 7, pung the 5, we could be ready to win on the 4. So a 4 crack or 7 dot would be ideal keepers. I would pass fully. Oh, look what we got. We got the 6 dot, 5, 6, 7. Here's the 3 dot that just fits in, but it looks pretty. It's not helpful though. Okay, so 7 crack went down. We don't want it. The tiles we can call would be 7 dot for a pung and the 5 crack, or I'm sorry, Kong. We need to Kong the 7. So we have a little bit of a weakness there, and also the 4 crack. Single pair pung, 3, 4, 5 in cracks, 6 bam Kong, 7 dot Kong. Fourth hand down under consecutive run. So let's see if we can get a 4 crack or maybe a 7 dot. A joker will do. So now we look for isolated tiles. 3 dot. We actually have a hand with no gaps, and with only 3 discards, I would commit here. 3 discards, I'd say we're a front runner on this game. We're likely going to be the winner. It's not guaranteed, but I think we have a strong potential to win this game with only 3 discards after the Charleston. Actually, we did have 4 discards. No, it's our turn now. Okay, so here we go. We can now Kong the 7, pung the 5, and be ready to win on the 4. Let's just hope nobody needs the 4 crack. So we're looking for, we don't need an 8 dot. We're looking for a 5 crack, 7 dot. And we want to draw the 4 crack if possible. We got the 4 crack. So now we have no weakness. No weakness. We're set to Kong and pung. We have single pair. We need to pung the 5. We've got our Kong of 6s, and we need to Kong the 7. This again is the 4th hand down under consecutive run. And we have 1, 2, 3 discards. We're one away from ready. We're looking for a 5 crack, 7 dot. Your tiles go first. We don't need 4 bam. Somebody snagged a joker. We're good there. 2 7 cracks are down. We want a 7 dot. Okay, they have 2 2. They're probably doing two bam and 2 crack pungs. They're playing 2 3 2 3 of some kind. Well, we do know what kind. 3 bam, 3 crack. And we have one of their 3 cracks. Somebody kept the 3 bam. It's probably them, because I remember it was going around in the Charleston. We had it. So we're looking for a 7 dot or a 5 crack to be ready to win. We're good there. We're good. We're looking for a 5 crack or a 7 dot. We got a joker. That'll do. We're ready to win. Ready to win on either a 5 crack or a 7 dot. Whoa, close. 2 bam. We missed the joker exchange. We're good there. Let's see if we see a Kong over here. They could be playing a quint on the left because they didn't take that west, but maybe they're just not ready for it yet. Anytime you see an east, you're going to see a west eventually, unless they're playing a quint, the first hand under that category. Okay, 6 crack is out. We're looking for a 5 crack or a 7 dot. Close, wrong suit. Nope. They're skating around us. There it is, Mahjong. We got it. Woohoo! So single pair pong, Kong Kong. And the primary reason for that, even though we have 5, 6, 7 in mixed suits, let's see, Mona saw that particular hand. The reason we didn't focus on that is because we have no flowers. So instead we used the 3, 4. And we used a little bit of luck with that draw, the 4 crack, and that solidified the hand. We had no weakness after that. We just needed to draw or call. Thank you. Thank you for the kudos. All right. Let's see. We were a clear front runner on that one. Now our opponent on the left was very close. They were on our heels. They have 1 discard, east and west with dragons. So they were 1 call away from that hand over there. The other 2 players had a long way to go. Let's see, the player across from us, Joe Curtis, they were playing, I thought they were playing 2 3 2 3, but that is kind of a tricky set of multiples to work with, because they were playing, in this case, a year hand, which has 3s. So in this case, they were 2 away from the first year hand. 2 crack with white dragons instead of the 3 cracks. And the player on our right, they had those 3 cracks. It looks like they were maybe trying for 1, 2, 3 mixed suit Kongs based on the way they're placing their jokers. They have 4 discards, so they had a long way to go. Okay, let's go again. So in this deal, we have a flower, white dragon, 2 6 8 in bams, 6 7 8 in cracks, pair 7, 1 3 4 7 in dots. What would you guys focus on for this hand if it were yours? I know what I would do. Anybody want to opine on this one? Higher end, big numbers. Yep, 6 7 8 of some kind. That's what I would do, 6 7 8 of some kind. So I would hold all numbers around the multiple, 6 7 8, 5 6 7 8, 6 7 8 9. Let's see if we can get either a 5 or a 9. I wouldn't pick a hand. I wouldn't even look at the hand level. I would just know that we're going to play something consecutive. 6, 7, 6, 7. Maybe we have a gap though. We have no 7 bam or no 6 dot. So I really wouldn't look at the hands yet. We do have a hand in here with no gaps, but I wouldn't commit to it. This would be the 4th hand down on the left. 6, 7, 8, 1 suit Kongs with a pair of flowers. There is some potential there. Let's see. Otherwise, I wouldn't even focus on any hand at the moment. I would just want to just gather until something reveals itself. Maybe hold the 4 temporarily in case a 5 shows up. 4, 5, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, we need to discard. We have a 1, 2 that could be discarded, but I would not pass this. So I would probably want to mitigate risk. We could pass 1, 2, 3, but that's pretty risky too, considering they're consecutive plus their year tiles. So I wouldn't do that. I would let the 4 go. So even though we could maybe use the 4 dot for an option with a run with 4 through 7, 4, 5, 6, 7, we have no 5. So in order to mitigate the risk, I would let the 4 go. Because I really wouldn't pass the 1, 2, 3, and I wouldn't pass 1, 2 white either. Both of those would be very risky. And I would want to keep all the 6, 7, 8 because that is our primary focus, our own hand. Okay, so let's pass. We have a 5 dot. That's in our range, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we have tiles we can pass. East, red, 3 dot. Now this red dragon though, that could be useful. We might be able to use that red dragon with 6, 7, 8. So I would keep the red. Let's see, 6, 7, 5 dot is isolated, even though we could maybe do 5 dot, 6 bam, 7 crack. I think what I would probably do here is let's see here, 7, 8, 6, 7, 5, 6, 7, 5 dot, 6 bam, 7 crack, 5th hand down on the right, or maybe the concealed hand or the 3rd hand down. So we have 1 of 3 hands we could be playing. I think I would let the 7 dot go. I would keep the white dragon because I wouldn't want to pass a 3 dot with a white dragon because of the year block or the year category. So that 3 dot white dragon would be a very risky pass. So I would keep that white dragon for just a bit. Okay, we've got an 8 dot, 5 bam, 5, 6, 7, 8. There is some potential for the 2nd hand down on the right, 5, 6 bam, 7, 8 crack. So I would probably pass the 1. This 8 is in our range, 7, 8 of some kind. I think what I would do here is probably let the 5 dot go. I would not pass 1, 5 dragon. Absolutely not. Maybe the 8. 1, 5, 8. That looks a little bit risky. The 1 and the 8 can't be used together at all for any hand, but the 5 and the 8 could be used in a 5 through 9 hand or 5 through 8. So it's a little bit risky, but I think passing the white dragon here would be even more risky. And we still have 3 potential hands. So that's what I would focus on. Okay, now we have 2 keepers, 8 crack, 6 crack. I would focus on that concealed hand. If we can get a 5 crack or a 9 crack. Otherwise, I would probably play the 5th hand down, 6, 7, 8, 1 suit Kongs. And then I would continue the Charleston. We've got 5 discards. We do have a risky tile, the white dragon. Usually I don't pass those. I would risk it because we have a couple of nice hands going that we could maybe play. I would love to get a 5 crack or a 9 crack and maybe try for the concealed hand, or we could do the fifth hand down on the left. So let's pass east with a white dragon, and then let's break up the 5-6. So maybe the 6 bam. That way we're left with a 5 bam, 8 bam, and that together wouldn't be too bad. Passing a 5-6 together, that would be a bit risky. So let's break up the 5-6. So if you can, think a pass ahead so that you can mitigate risk in your next pass. Okay, we got a keeper, 8 crack, and we have 3 tiles we can pass, 5, 7, green. Those are fine. A little bit risky with the 5 in the green, a little bit risky with the 5, 7, but it's the best we can do with what we have. So for example, passing 5, green, 8, I think that's a little more risky. Okay, so let's see what we get. No keepers, but we've got tiles we can pass. Clear discards. No keepers. We have 4 discards, so I would pass fully. 1, 7, east. Okay, so we did not get any keepers. We've got 4 discards. I would say we're probably, let's see, I'd say we're a contender here because we've got 4 discards and 2 potential hands. Third hand down, let's see, third hand down, fifth hand down, or even the concealed hand. But we have a gap, no 5 crack or 9 crack. So let's just see what happens. We got the 5 crack. So now we have potential for that concealed hand, and we have 3 discards. So really one good pick confirmed our position. I'd say we're probably a contender. We're going to have to draw well, though. We need a red dragon and a flower. Now we could maybe play the second hand down in one suit, 5, 6, 7, 8, pung kong, pung kong. There is some potential there too now. Okay, so let's throw the 7 dot. We're good there. Nope, we're looking at, we're focused on the 5. It would have been kind of nice to get a 9 crack, but okay, so let's throw 6 bam. We're looking for cracks. We're playing a 1 suit hand with or without the dragon. We're not sure yet. We could play the second hand down under consecutive run, third hand, fourth hand, or the concealed hand. One of 4 hands that we're gathering for right now. We got a joker. Let's let the 5 dot go. So with a joker, we're going to have to keep an eye on these tiles. We need a flower and a red dragon to play the concealed hand. It's looking like that might not be our hand because that's 2 pair we need, and we don't have either one of them secured. 2 crack, we don't need that. That's a year tile. I let those go first. Okay, now there, we could potentially pung that. So let's think about this. We could play the second hand down. I call that a hand of least resistance because you can use any number of jokers in that hand. Pung kong, pung kong. Any hand with 2 pungs and 2 kongs is a hand of least resistance, and it is what do you call it? Relatively indestructible. In American Mah Jongg, you can use jokers. There are a limited number of jokers, 8, but for all of them to be in use is rare. So I'd say this is a relatively indestructible hand. 5, 6, 7, 8, pung kong, pung kong. If we were to call that 7 for a pung, we would have 1 weakness as opposed to 2 playing the concealed hand. So if this were me, I'd call it. We have a hand with no gaps, and it is a hand of least resistance. So our potential of completing it is pretty good. It's excellent, actually. So I would call and commit for a pung. So then I would discard my riskiest tile. Maybe the red dragon, the flower would probably be the riskiest one, but I don't quite want to reveal my hand yet. Typically, the discard right after an exposure is very telling. So that's a little more advanced, and we're probably going to talk about that later today. I think if this were me, I would discard the red dragon and distance myself from my exposure and maybe let the flower go next, because it wouldn't pack such a punch as exposing a pung of sevens and then a flower, because then that might reveal more about my hand than discarding that dragon. And the 4, 5 and bams at the moment are probably safe discards. The 5 bam is probably pretty risky. There's a 4 bam already out. So our riskiest tile next is the flower. And we can pung the 5 and Kong the 8, or we could Kong the 6 and the 8. We're just needing one more good pick for our hand. Second one down, one suit. We'll call. We have no gaps. We're going to pung. Now we'll discard that flower. We have 2 exposures, so that is going to reveal information regardless of the post discard or the post exposure discard. So let's see what happens now. Maybe we'll get our 5 crack. Oh, there we go. And I would call, by the way, we are in the begin game. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 discards, and we have a hand with no gaps. That is our tile for a Kong, and I would call it because we have a hand with no discards, a hand with no gaps, and it's a hand of least resistance. So we're going to Kong. And of course, everybody knows what we're playing, but I would say we are a clear front runner here. We need 1 tile and we'll be ready to win. If we can get that 5 crack, that would be awesome. We got a 2 crack. That's a year tile, so I'd let it go. We're looking for 5 crack or a 6 crack or a joker. Somebody, okay, now we have some potential for a pure hand if we can get that 6 crack. Okay, we don't want the 9 dot. The 4 bam is a safe tile. There are 2 out right now, so that should be a safe discard. We want a 6 crack. Joker will do. We're ready to win on a joker now. I mean, a 6 crack. 5, 6, 7, 8, pung, kong, pung, kong. And of course, everybody knows what we need. If nothing else, we put them on defense. We don't need that. We're looking for a 6 crack. Ooh, look at the jokers. Okay, let's see. One of those is available. No. It's locked in. There are 3 4 dots out. So those jokers are locked in. 3 jokers off the table. We don't need a 4 crack. We're looking for a 6 crack. Oh, 9 crack. No, wrong number. Okay, we're in the end game now. 40 tiles remaining. I would play to win. Oh, we need a 6. Usually when someone makes an exposure in the end game, they're playing to win. So my guess is that this player, Agata, if they draw a 6 crack, if they don't need it, of course, then they'll probably discard it. They're a robot though, so I really don't know. Oh my gosh, they're skating around us again. We need a 6 crack. 3 bam. I think, I don't remember seeing this. 1 is out right here up at the top. There it is. Mahjong. Woohoo! We got it. So our opponents were not going to be using that tile. So Joe Curtis discarded it. They're ready to win on 3, 4, 5, 6. Same hand, different suit. So they risked discarding that. I might have 2. Maybe not, because we had 3 exposures. That would be that was a high risk tile. All right, so let's play again. Hopefully we'll get to play 2 more hands. So let's look at what we have here. Excuse me. North, 7, 8 in bams, pair 7. 1, 5, 7, 8, 9 in cracks, singles, 2, 8 in dots. So with these tiles, what would you focus on? What category would you focus on here? We have such a spread. I would even start with, what can I discard? That's another way you could look at it to simplify decision making. If you have clear discards, what would they be? The north, the 1 crack, and probably the 2 dot. 7s, consecutive run, upper cracks, upper odds in cracks. Would you throw away the 7 bam, Evelyn? I would build around the 7 bam. So I would focus on 7, 8, 9. If we get a 5 bam, we could maybe do an odd hand. But right now, I would say 7, 8 of some kind is going to be the way to go. Oh, you'd work in the 7 bam too. Okay, good. That's what I would do also. All right, let's see what we can do. Okay, so we got a 7 dot. Let's throw east 2, and now we have to let something go. So we have 2 clear discards. That's the way you simplify. Look for the chaff, the tiles you know you don't need. And then you look at the remaining tiles that are all keepers temporarily, and then whittle out the isolated tiles. So the isolated tile in here, can anybody guess what it is? Yep, Wes got it, 5 crack. Okay, so now tell me, Wes, what do you think about that isolated tile idea? Does that resonate with you? Does that help you? Did that help you simplify decision making with discards? The idea of isolated tiles. Awesome. Okay, very good. Let's see. So we're letting the 5 crack go, even though we could maybe use that for big odds, 5, 7, 9 of some kind. We have no other 5. We're much stronger with 8s. So that's why consecutive run is a better option. We want to optimize the potential for hits in our keepers, and we got hits. We've got a 6 and a 7. So we have 1 clear discard. Look at all these keepers now, 6 through 9, all 6 through 9. We have all keepers. We've got to pass though. Now we could pass blind because we're doing the first left, but I probably wouldn't. I would probably pick a hand, or at least narrow down my options. We have right now 2 pairs of 7s, and that's where I would start. And then I would look for a hand, and we actually have one. 7, 8, 7, 8. There's a hand right there. 6th hand down under consecutive run. Because of that, I probably would let the 9 crack go. Let's see here. We have 6 bam, 7, 8 in cracks. I would probably keep the 7 in case we get a flower. We could maybe play like numbers. So I would probably pass the 6 bam to mitigate the risk and not pass that 8 crack. And I would not think about playing the 1-2 pair hand. In this case, it would be 7-8 pair hand because we'd have to throw away jokers. That would be the second hand down under singles and pairs. I wouldn't be tempted by that. I would want to use my jokers. Okay, so we have discards here. We do have a 6, 7, 8 in there, but we need to keep going. I would not stop the Charleston. I would let the 6 band go with the 4 and the 1. A little bit risky with a 4, 6, but we're optimizing our potential to get keepers for the strength of our hand, which are the 2 7s, the pairs. Okay, we have another 7, and here's a 9 bam. So we have 7, 8, 9 in bam, 7, 8 in dots, 7, 8 in cracks. We have 1 clear discard. I would focus on 7s. We have pairs of 7s, so I would let that 9 bam go. And then I would pick one. We could do 7, 8 pung kong or like numbers with 7s. To pass one of each suit, I'd let the 8 crack go. We can't keep it all. Okay, and now we have discards here. 9, 2. So we have 7, 8, 7, 8 as the likely hand without flowers. We do have some potential for like numbers. We also have some potential for a quint, the first quint. But I think we're going to maximize our potential by passing fully. We didn't get keepers, but we do have discards. That is a silver lining. I would keep the 7s for a bit. If we get a flower, we might be able to play like numbers with 7s. Okay, so we ended up with some big odd potential in here. Here's 5 crack, 7 crack, 7 bam, 9 bam. Second hand down on the right under odds. We're going to ignore that. We'll let the wind go first. We'll pass. Oh, we don't want flowers. These robots really like to discard flowers. Okay, we don't need 3s. We're looking for a 7. Okay, we don't want that. We don't need year tiles. That is a single in our hand. There's no way we can use it. It looks pretty, and we'd have to use our jokers. We don't really know what hand we're playing yet, but I'd say likely the 5th, 6th hand down under consecutive run. No keeper there. No. Okay, we need a keeper here. We don't need green dragon. I would probably let the 5 crack and the 9 bam go and focus on 7, 8 or like numbers with 7s. If we were to get a flower, I'd probably play like numbers with 7s. There's a 7 crack. Okay, let's let the 9 bam go. Okay, let's see. No shoulda, coulda, woulda here. That 9 bam could have been used though for 5, 7, 7, 9, but we'd have to throw away a pair of 7s, 7 dot. I think we stick with this idea here. Let's just see what happens. Another joker. Okay, let's throw the 3 bam. You know what I would do here? I'd probably play a gap hand and go for like numbers with, no. Yeah, like numbers with 7s. Leverage that pung of 7s right here, the 7 crack. You can use any number of jokers with a block of 4 identical tiles. They could even all be jokers if you want them to. I think I'd play like numbers. It's a gap hand, but look at the jokers we have. Be nice if we can get a flower. Three flowers are out right now. And I would wait. Okay, now south is out. I am still tempted to maybe play that quint. but no. We could still play 7-8, 7-8, by the way. Okay, now this is where we would have to make a choice. We could play 7-8, 7-8 and call that for a con with our jokers. We could hung both sevens, and then we would just need to build up our 8 bam. Since we have no flowers, as painful as it is, let's see. The other thing we could do is use the jokers for the flowers. We're closer to like numbers with sevens, even though we have a gap. I'd rather use the pung. We're going to ignore it and let the 8s go. Oops, we want that joker over here. So we're going to play like numbers with sevens, gap hand. Sometimes you can go against the norm. I don't, and now look, we're set for like numbers because now we could Kong. It's kind of crazy how it showed up that way. So if a flower goes down, I probably would Kong. There are 3 out right now. So that means there's 5 left. It would be risky because we have 3 jokers that we may be exposing here. So we're playing a gap hand. Okay, 6 dot. Let's throw the 8. Bam. We're good. Oh, 5 crack can go. We're looking for sevens. We want 7.7 crack. Oh, look, there's an 8. Oh my goodness, look at this. Okay, 8 dot. We threw an 8 dot though. I probably would still stick with the plan. Nope, ignore. 2 crack is right here. 3 are out. I'd throw the 8. So those are discards. We're good there. We still need a flower if we can. Okay, 2 bam. 2 or 3 are out. Let's throw the 8. There we go. We'll call for a Kong. We're good. Ooh, there's a joker up for grabs, I think. 6 crack. I don't see any out. We're good there. 3 dot just went down. We're supposed to be able to get 1.6 jokers and or flowers from the wall. It'd be nice if we can do that. Okay, 1 dot. I see 1 out. We're in the end game. This is our riskiest tile. So if we're playing to win, we should let it go. I was thinking maybe Joe would Kong for like numbers, but they didn't. We got the flower. Finally, now we're not playing a gap hand. We filled a gap. We're ready to win on a flower or a 7 crack. Okay, now here we can't use multiple pungs, so we would let this go. I don't think either one of these are out. The player to our right is doing evens. The player across from us is doing like numbers. And to our left, we don't know what they're doing yet. So I think it's arbitrary which of these can go. Since there are 8 bam, 9 bam out, I see a 5 bam, but I don't see 6s. Let's see for cracks. I don't see, oh, 6 crack is right here. I think we throw the 7 crack here. Well, there it is right there, 7 crack. So we're looking for a 7 bam or a flower. We don't want to take those jokers right there. That's Mahjong. This goes there. Oh, the game will reorder the tiles. Mahjong. We got it. Woohoo! Okay, so flowers, 4 flowers, playing a gap hand up until recently, and then the Kongs, 2 Kongs plus a pair of 1 number. So the reason why I took the risk of playing a gap hand is because you can use any number of flowers for that Kong. This I call a hand of slight resistance because you only need 1 pair. If you can secure the pair, then you have no resistance thereafter. You can use any number of jokers, and we had them. We had 4. So we had a really good chance of winning that hand. Thank you for the kudos. Let's play one more game. All right, we have winds this time paired up. A flower, pair east and a west, 1 bam, 2, 5, 6, 8 in cracks, and then a 5, 9 in dots. So our multiples are going to be 5 crack with an east. There is some potential for east and west with a run, and that would use both multiples. It's a bit weak. This would be the second hand down on the right under winds. So I would focus on that and probably pass 1 bam, let's say 5 dot with an 8, with an 8 crack. 1 of each suit right there. We do have some potential for a quint though. East with 5s. We've got jokers. The first quint, like numbers with 5s in the wind. Okay, no keepers. We didn't get keepers. We do have a north. We could maybe play, let's just use the jokers to block out our keepers here. We could play the 5th wind hand. I would probably let 2, 4, 6 go like that. 1 of each suit. It's a little bit risky. Look, we got the east. We have 2 dragon. I would probably let that north go. So we could maybe play the quint with 5s or east and west with a run. Probably 5, 6, 7. That would be a gap hand though. We have no 7 crack. We didn't get any keepers. I would keep going. We're going to keep going. We got a west. Look, it looks like we're going to be playing a gap hand. I would not pass a flower. Okay, we got a 5 crack. 2, 4 can go. That 5 crack was not helpful, really. So I think with this one, I would pass 2, because if we can get another 5, we could switch to the quint. That's what I would rather do, as opposed to discarding the 5 crack right now. Okay, so we could pass 2. We did not get 4 crack, 7 crack, or the 5. So let's just see what happens. I would say we're probably an underdog because we have a gap. We don't have a good run in here for east and west. This flower probably is a discard. Oh, I probably would have thrown that 3 bam first because that's a year tile. Year tiles go first. Well, 2 dot is out. It'd be ideal to get a 7 crack, I think. Let's see. We can let the 3 bam go. We got the west. Oh my goodness. Let's let the flower go. So we're playing a gap hand. We need 7s. We'll let the 5 crack go. We have east and west pungs. Second hand down on the right. There's the 7. Fill the gap. So now that's a pair for us. So we can't call it. We're set though. We can Kong the 7 and be ready on a 6. So we need to keep an eye out for our 6 crack. 5, 6, 7, pair, Kong. We're looking for a 7 crack. And if it goes down, I would call it. Red. We'll ignore. If we get a 4 crack, I would keep it, because then we could do 4, 5, 6 and Kong the 6s. Let the 5 go. So 4 crack or 7 crack would be ideal picks. 4 crack would give us options. Okay, now here's an 8, 5, 6, 7, 8. We don't need 8, and we already threw it. Okay, there's a couple jokers up for grabs. Joker exchange. Thank you. Ready to win on a 6 crack. Ready to win on a 6 crack here. Pair, Kong. The 7s use the joker. We're good. We're looking for 6 crack. We're in the middle of the middle game now. We want a 6 crack. Okay, call over there. We need a pair tile, so jokers aren't going to help us right now. White dragon, we don't want that. We've already got our East Pung. Specific hand, don't need that. Pretty as it is. Oh, there it is. Oh my gosh, I almost clicked ignore. Mahjong. Woohoo! We got another one. So East and West Pung Pung, and then pair Kong. 5, 6, 7. East and West with a run. Second hand down on the right under wins. Let's see if anyone was hot on our tails. I don't think so. No, we were way out in front. Way out in front on this one. Well, the player on our right was one away, though, if they could get another joker for their 7 crack, but we have the 7. So the player on our right was a bit on our tails. Okay. Oh, thank you, Mona. Shall we squeeze in one more? We'll make this one a bit quick. Okay, we've got news. So I would focus on wins. When I have news, one of each, I consider that a block of 4, which is equivalent to a Kong. So even though they're singles, it is a block, a finished block, a complete block, news. So I would focus on that in this case. Since we have no multiples, I would say the strength of the hand is news. It's a little bit of an oddity, but there is strength there. And we have year tiles. So I'd probably focus on wins or a year hand. So let's break these out a little bit. We've got news. One thing I might consider is maybe the concealed hand with news. 7, 8 or 6, 7. We can't keep it all. I think what I would do is pass one of each suit. Okay, we don't need a 1. We don't need a red. Actually, there is a wind hand with dragons. Maybe we should keep that red dragon. But we want to be able to optimize for maybe the concealed hand. We've got 7, 8 and 7 bam 8 crack or 7 bam 8 dot. Let's let the 8 dot go and keep the dragons. Actually, let's keep the number tile. Oops, we want to keep that white dragon. I like that you can change your mind with these, with the passing. You can't do that in some platforms. You're committed once you identify it as a pass tile, but here you can change your mind, which is nice. That's kind of what I was wondering if we were going to pair up. Okay, so now I would focus on the concealed hand, and I would want to optimize for a consecutive pungs in 2 suits. So I would pass 5-2. We can do 3-4, or we can do 7-8. I would risk passing the white dragon in this case, I think. This is a little bit risky, passing a 2 with a white dragon, but we need to optimize our potential to get our pungs, because if we're playing a concealed hand, we want to get as many keepers during the Charleston as we can, because then we're only going to be able to draw. Look at that. South, north. We are set up for that concealed hand very nicely. I would let's see, we would keep going here. 3-4. We could do 8.9 crack. We need to let something go. Let's let the 8 crack go. So we have potential for 7, 8, or 9 to build. We could also, oh, there's the 7. So now we can pass. And here is a time where I would risk passing like numbers, because we have a hand with no gaps and we have 3 multiples. So I would say we're going to be a front runner, even though we're playing a concealed hand. I would risk passing like numbers here. And those numbers are on the edge. It's a little risky because they're all 3, 6, 9. But I think that we can bear that risk because of the development of the hand that we have. We want to optimize our potential to get the 8 dot, probably, and maybe the north. Okay, we got a west. This is when I would maybe consider playing the first hand. So I probably would keep the west and pass 2. Oh, wait a minute. We have the 8 crack. I would instead pass 2 and pass 3 crack west, see if we can get another 8, because now we have options. We hit the 8 dot. Okay, so I'm going to put these keepers on the left. We are a front runner with a concealed hand. We've got 2 discards. We have no weakness. We have the east and west in our hand. Those are the singles. We can use jokers for the other parts of the hand. So we just need to draw well now. We're not guaranteed. We're not a guaranteed winner, but I'd say we're at the front. We're a front runner here. Okay, let's let the year tiles go. We're good there. Oh, Wes, that's hilarious. Yeah, someone threw the 3s, so the 3 dot there. I'm hoping, let's see what they do with this 9. They didn't do anything with the 9. I'm hoping to see 9s go down. We'll pass. Okay, so they threw 4s. We gave them 9s in the optional, and they're not going to be able to use them. So the risk was totally worth it. We're supposed to get 1.6 jokers from the wall. 4 crack, we don't want that. I was thinking maybe they were going to do 4-5, 4-5 or something like that. 2, 4, 6, 8 is what they're doing over there. Let's see. Or 2, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2.3.45 in BAMs. So they're going to need a joker for the 5 and a joker for the 3 dot too. So they're going to need 2 jokers across from us. They may already have them. No, we don't need the 7 dot really. It's out. There's a joker there. It's locked in. Okay, we're looking for 7, 8 in dots and a north. We need a north. So somebody here, I believe this player on the right could be playing a wind hand. Now the player on our left could also be playing let's say north and south with a run. So we need to keep an eye on these two robots. We're concealed. We got a keeper. Okay, we need one good pick. We may even be able to do this one pure. That means no jokers. We're going to ignore that. We're playing the concealed hand. We got our keeper. Look at that. We're ready to win on a north. Ready to win on a north, and it will be a pure hand unless we draw a joker. So we're ready before the middle of the game. This is ideal. We need a north to win. And since nobody called that south, maybe nobody else is playing wins. Nope. We want a north. The nines are going down, by the way, so that risky pass was just fine. In that case, typically not, though. Oh, they're playing 4, 5, 6, 7. One suit. We need a north. Set the second flower out. Where's the north? Oh, white dragon is out. Okay, now Pung of dragons. They could be playing north and south with dragons. Third hand down under wins. I was thinking somebody was playing wins. This player on the right might be the one. So we may need a joker for the north. I'm hoping not, because I'd love to do a pure hand. Oh, flowers. Okay. So they're playing the year hand. So we have an open road ahead of us, wide open road. All these players will throw a north, and we're stealth mode, fully concealed. Oh darn, it's not a guarantee. Hand of least resistance with jokers. Nice way to go. Pung kong, pung kong. Our tile was in the wall. Oh, this player on the right, they're ready to win on a 2-ban. Player on the left had 2 discards. So we had competition on this one. That was close and a lot of fun. We got in some pretty good wins and lots of demonstration on planning discards. I hope you found this episode helpful. Thank you so much for joining us during the live stream. If you found it helpful, let me know your thoughts in the chat. If it was complicated or overwhelming, just pick and choose 1 or 2 jewels to try out, and then watch the video again for when you're ready for more. I know it can be a little bit overwhelming at times, especially if you're new to the game, but just give it time and remember to triage your discards with whatever's remaining after you get your keepers in order. You want to keep tiles that support the strength of the hand. That should reveal your discards, and then do the triage. Wins, dragons, year tiles, chaff, and then isolated tiles when you get to that point. If you use that process, it should simplify the decision making for you. And then during the pick and discard phase of the game, look at what is being discarded and let those drive the decision as far as what you can discard or what would be good for discards with the chaff especially. You're welcome. My pleasure. We'll be back in an hour for the Nitty-Gritty primetime Let's Play live stream, and we're going to be talking about planning discards, but we're going to kick it up a notch and look at it from a more advanced perspective. And this way, we'll be able to extend the concept of planning discards, going a little bit more advanced. So if you're a beginner, don't worry about coming at 4. If you're an intermediate player, consider it. Of course, everybody is welcome. I just don't want beginners to feel overwhelmed. The Monday or the first episode of Nitty-Gritty Mondays is designed for beginners. And the whole idea is we want to minimize overwhelm. So I hope that this helps. Write it in the comment section below. If you're watching the repost, your thoughts on planning discards, and if there are any strategies that you use that I haven't talked about, I'd be more than happy to hear what works for you. Also, moderators, thank you so much for helping monitor chat. And I do want to thank Diane, Beverly, and Carol for joining as channel members. I appreciate the support of MAHJLIFE more than you know. I can't express my thanks enough. Thank you so much. We'll see you again in about an hour. Unless anyone has any questions, I'll go ahead and sign off. No questions? Comments? Anyone? Anyone? Bueller? All right, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, consider subscribing. Click the little gray bell if you do. That way you'll get notification for when I post new videos, and you won't miss an opportunity to learn a new strategy or pick up an insight to the game that could give you an advantage at the table. Between now and the next video, may all your picks be keepers.